It's Alan Fire here of Group Dynamic, talking some more about the critical nature of developing trust in 2024. Over half of leaders say they don't fully trust the people above them in the organization. That might be you talking about your leaders or people talking about you. So I've got this series to help talk about some of the things that are causing lack of trust. Another one is the great negotiation or the great renegotiation. We went all remote and then we went all hybrid, and now some people are saying, come back to the office. And we keep changing the game, some of us, instead of staying consistent or communicating changes well in advance. This is something we've seen. I say we because I bet you have also. If you haven't, I have. That there are organizations that went from, hey, you know what? This seems to be working okay, working from home. We're gonna respect that boundary. Wait a second. That's not really working. You got to come in on Monday and Friday, starting next week. Or hybrid is okay. You get to stay home Monday and Friday, come in Tuesday through Thursday, and then very late in the game, a switch like, you know what? You got to be here Monday for that meeting next week. What people don't understand sometimes are the patterns and routines and the human elements of what people have done differently as they've made a switch to doing things at different times of the day, doing things at home versus work, in terms of like personal habits and habits that relate to the other human beings that live in their household. It's not necessarily the job of an enterprise to work around the childcare needs of their employees, but those who do are going to keep those employees. Just because somebody has been getting in the habit of doing 80% of their job during normal business hours and 20% of their job outside those business hours, it's still getting done. And then to suddenly shift back to the way it was 4 years ago now, 5 years ago now, that won't fly. I mean, maybe they'll do it, but the level of trust they have in the organization to stay consistent, to treat people fairly on an ongoing basis, it's going to make them a little suspicious. You don't have to work around that need or that desire, but those who do are retaining people more. They're getting more out of the people they do retain, and they've got more trust. This is a shift that has happened. People expect there to be a certain amount of flexibility. Whether it's fair or not, I don't think that matters if what you care about the most is retention, engagement, and trust building. And I disagree with those who say that it's generational. I'm 55. I love flexibility. I always have. My mother is in her 70s, and back in the 1980s and 1990s, she held a role as an executive director of a nonprofit. And each year, when it was time to renegotiate her contract, she often negotiated for fewer hours rather than for more money. So this has been around for decades. I mean, I don't want to age me or my mom or anything, but that's like, 30, 40 years ago that was going on. That increased her engagement and her productivity, and the organization appreciated the impact on their budget. Regardless, trust is becoming an issue in 2024. And the smartest leaders and the most proactive leaders who take a look at all these things that are standing in the way and do something about it, they're going to benefit from that on a personal level and when it comes to business outcomes. I encourage you to take a look at the way you and your organization are handling the great renegotiation. The origin of this series comes from a great article in the Des Moines Business Record from Susanna DeBaca. I don't want to not give her credit every single time. I quote from her beautiful article. So thanks, Susanna. Now let's get to work.